Welcome to Everyday Tales Audio, folks. Hey there, dear listeners of Everyday Tales Audio. It's that cozy time of the day again, and we're thrilled to have you join us for an emotional and gripping short story titled The Wife Shared by Two Brothers. We hope this tale brings you moments of relaxation, a roller coaster of feelings, and some deep thoughts to ponder. Once you've listened, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to support our team. Let's dive in. I finally made the decision to walk away from that house, leaving behind the husband I once loved, with nothing but the clothes on my back, and not a single ounce of regret. My marriage lasted just 3 years, but I don't even know how to put into words the pain I've been through. I call my married life a cruel marriage. It was too harsh, too heartbreaking for my soul. For 3 years, I endured it all, and looking back now, I realize how strong I was, but also how foolish. I can't wrap my head around it. How could I have put up with a marriage like that? My name's Emily Carter, 28 years old, originally from a small town in Tennessee. I moved to Chicago to work at a packaging company, and that's where I met my husband, Ethan Brooks. He's a Chicago native, 2 years older than me, with the kind of good looks you'd expect from a movie star. Tall, charming, and sharp as a tack. Ethan was the CEO of the company, and let me tell you, he had it all: brains, looks, and ambition. I worked as an accountant at Ethan's company. With his charisma and talent, I was smitten from the very first moment I laid eyes on him. At first, Ethan didn't even notice me, but since our jobs meant we had to work closely together, I made sure to drop some hints, flirting here and there, finding every chance to get closer to him. And you know what they say, play with fire long enough and you'll get burned. After 2 months of me turning on the charm, Ethan finally fell for me. Dating the CEO, a Chicago guy running a big company, I was over the moon. I couldn't wait to tell the world about it. Ethan, though, was more low-key. He never announced our relationship to anyone at the company. But in my mind, if you're in love, you've got to shout it from the rooftops, right? Otherwise, how would anyone know he's taken? So, I made sure the whole office knew Ethan and I were a couple. Subtly, of course, but enough to send a clear message to anyone who might have their eye on my man. Once the news spread, the office buzzed with gossip. People whispered, "Wow, I thought the CEO would date someone else. Turns out it's that girl from Tennessee. Emily doesn't even match Ethan's vibe. He's so handsome and successful. Why her? She must have pulled some tricks to win him over. Girls from small towns like that can be sneaky. She's probably after his money." The chatter went on, and I became the talk of the town for a while. But I'm tough, y'all. I didn't let it get to me. A few months into dating, I made a point to visit Ethan's place, not just to hang out, but to scope out what kind of life he was living. Ethan wasn't ready to introduce me to his family, though, and had never brought me home even once. So, when he got sick one day, I used it as an excuse to show up with some medicine and check on him, and, of course, to get a good look at his house. When I stepped inside, I was blown away by how luxurious his family's place was. It was a massive mansion, filled with fancy furniture that screamed money. Everything was high-end and classy. Ethan's dad had passed away, so it was just his mom, Mrs. Margaret Brooks, 52 years old, who ran a big company herself. Ethan also had an older brother, 32-year-old Jake Brooks, but Jake wasn't all there mentally. He had his good days and bad days, and his mood swings meant someone always had to keep an eye on him. To sum it up, Ethan's family was loaded. Compared to them, my family back in Tennessee was just your average Joe, while Ethan's folks were practically millionaires. Even though Ethan and I weren't exactly from the same world, I was super confident in myself. Back then, I had one burning thought in my mind. I'm going to be his wife and run this big company someday. I wasn't about to let this golden opportunity slip through my fingers. Once I became the CEO's girlfriend, I started upgrading myself. New hairstyle, new wardrobe, regular spa visits to pamper myself. And guess who paid for it all? Ethan, of course. He was so rich that dropping 50 to 100 grand on his girlfriend was no big deal to him. While we were dating, whenever I ran out of cash, I'd just ask him for more. He was like a walking ATM, and I could withdraw money anytime I wanted. At the company, If I heard anyone gushing about how hot my boyfriend was, that person would be out the door faster than you can say fired. When we hired new staff, I personally handled the applications and interviews. Any girl who was tall, gorgeous, or remotely a threat. Nope, not a chance, they were out. I only hired people who weren't as pretty as me. Soon, rumors started flying around the office. Ever since I started dating the CEO, all the beautiful women in the company mysteriously quit because I'd gotten rid of them. I didn't leave a single one behind. I'd rather fire the wrong person than take any risks. I kept a tight leash on Ethan, y'all. I knew his schedule inside and out, where he was, what he was doing, everything. One time, when he went on a business trip, I even snuck a tiny listening device into his suit jacket to keep tabs on him. During our relationship, I could tell Ethan was starting to get a bit distant with me, and I wasn't about to let that slide. I'd flirt hard, even pushing for intimacy before marriage. When he seemed hesitant, I'd take the lead every time. I had no shame. I'd make moves in the office, in his car, anywhere I felt like it, as long as I wanted him. Finally, after 5 months of dating, Ethan took me home to meet his mom and talk about wedding plans because I was 3 months pregnant, and as we say, the rice was already cooked. Ethan brought me over for dinner with his family. Mrs. Margaret Brooks, his mom, gave me a cold, hard stare, not a hint of warmth in her eyes. Meanwhile, Ethan's quirky older brother, Jake, kept tugging at my arm, dragging me around the house to show me stuff. Jake seemed to really like me. I played along, sweet-talking him and even joining him to play with his toys. Ethan watched me having fun with his brother and smiled. "Jake, you're having a blast with her? Huh?" Jake nodded enthusiastically. "So much fun. When you marry Emily, I won't be lonely anymore, right?" Jake grinned ear to ear, holding my hand tightly. After a warm family dinner, we sat in the living room, eating fruit and chatting. I didn't have to lift a finger to clean up. There were maids for that. Sitting across from my future mother-in-law, I wasn't nervous at all. I was confident. Plus, I had my little secret weapon in my belly. Mrs. Brooks looked at my stomach and asked coldly, "Have you had an ultrasound yet? Is it a boy or a girl?" I replied, "I went a month ago, but they couldn't tell yet." She pressed on, "So you're 3 months along now, right?" I nodded, "Yes, ma'am." Mrs. Brooks frowned. "Go get an ultrasound tomorrow. I'll drive over in the morning to pick you up." I quickly said, "Yes, ma'am." But then, Mrs. Brooks added in a frosty tone, "You're already calling me ma'am. Isn't that a bit fast?" Her words hit me like a bucket of ice water. I winced, thinking to myself, this old lady's got some nerve. I'm carrying her grandchild, and she won't even acknowledge me as her daughter-in-law? I was fuming inside, but I kept it bottled up, not daring to say a word. Swallowing my anger at Mrs. Brooks' condescending attitude, I replied softly, "You're right, Mrs. Brooks." Ethan glanced at his mom, letting out a sigh. "Why do you have to be so harsh, Mom? What's wrong with what she said? It's not like whoever I love automatically becomes your daughter-in-law, right? I don't even know what to say to you anymore." He sighed again and went quiet. I snuck a peek at Mrs. Brooks. She was glaring at Ethan, clearly annoyed. But when Jake ran over, her whole demeanor changed. She smiled warmly, calling out, "Jake, my sweet boy, come sit with Mommy." Jake ran to her, plopping down beside her. Mrs. Brooks ruffled his hair, looking at him with pure love in her eyes. It was so strange. Mrs. Brooks only had 2 sons. Jake, who wasn't all there mentally and didn't always understand things, and Ethan, who was smart, talented, and running a big company. Yet she clearly played favorites. She adored Jake, showering him with affection, while she barely seemed to care about Ethan, hardly mentioning him at all. What was her deal? I racked my brain but couldn't figure out why Mrs. Brooks was so unfair. Jake, on the other hand, seemed to really take a liking to me, staring at me the whole time. I flashed him a bright smile. Right away, Jake scooted over to me, chattering away, "Emily, Emily." I grinned back. "Hey, Jake, it's me, Emily." Mrs. Brooks saw Jake sitting next to me and looked irritated. "Jake, come over here with Mommy. Hurry up," she said. Jake shook his head. "Nope, not going." Mrs. Brooks insisted. Come sit with mommy, my precious boy. Come on. But Jake was stubborn. I'm not going. Mrs. Brooks was visibly annoyed, but because she loved Jake so much, she didn't push it. Ethan finally spoke up. Mom, can you pick a good date for us? I'd like to go to Emily's family and talk to her folks about the wedding. Mrs. Brooks clicked her tongue. Let's get that ultrasound tomorrow first. See if it's a boy or a girl, then we'll talk. Ethan frowned. What do you mean by that, Mom? She's already 3 months pregnant. If we wait too long, her belly's gonna be huge. How's that gonna work? Mrs. Brooks looked frustrated, but because of Jake, she held her tongue. Ethan pressed again. Mom, please pick a good date so I can go talk to Emily's family. Mrs. Brooks sighed. I said, get the ultrasound tomorrow, find out if it's a boy or a girl, and then we'll talk. Ethan, still confused, repeated. What do you mean, Mom? She's 3 months along. Waiting too long with a big belly isn't gonna work, is it? Mrs. Margaret Brooks stood up, her voice ice cold. This is a big decision, a lifetime commitment. We need to think it through carefully. Ethan, clearly frustrated, shot back. Oh my gosh, Mom, what's left to think about? If you keep dragging this out, she's gonna have the baby before we even tie the knot. All you care about is whether it's a boy or a girl. I'm getting married either way. I'll figure it out. Mrs. Brooks didn't budge. After dropping that bombshell, she turned and walked into her room. I sat there, my face falling, and said to Ethan, feeling a little down, I don't think your mom likes me. Babe, he replied, she might not like it, but she's gonna have to deal with it. What's she gonna do about it now, huh? I lowered my voice. I know you're right, but I can tell she doesn't want you to marry me. Ethan nodded. Yeah, I get it. Jake, looking at me with a huge grin, chimed in, marry Emily, marry Emily. I ruffled his hair and smiled. That's right, marry Emily. I'll play with you and get you some candy, Jake. How's that sound? Jake nodded like a bobblehead. Yes, I agree. Jake's a good boy. I laughed. Then you gotta tell Mom to let me marry Ethan. Okay? Jake nodded again. Okay. After hanging out with Jake for a bit, Ethan drove me home. Jake didn't want me to leave. He kept holding on to me. I had to sweet talk him. Jake, wanna play with me again? He nodded eagerly. Yeah, I wanna play with Emily. I said, then you gotta tell Mom to let me marry Ethan. Got it? Jake grinned. Got it. When I got home, I lay in bed, my mind racing. Jake was clearly the apple of Mrs. Brooks' eye, but Ethan's smart, handsome, successful, seemed to get the cold shoulder from her. Why was she so unfair to her own sons? Meanwhile, back at the Brooks house, Mrs. Brooks was watching TV in her room when Jake ran in and hugged her. Mommy! She softened instantly. I'm right here, my sweet boy. What's up? Jake pleaded. Mom, let Emily marry Ethan. I want to play with Emily. I want to play with her. Mrs. Brooks frowned. There are plenty of other people to play with. Why do you keep wanting to hang out with that Emily girl? She's from Tennessee, and I'm not too fond of her. Hearing that, Jake threw himself on the floor, throwing a full-on tantrum, crying and rolling around. Mrs. Brooks quickly scooped him up, trying to calm him down, but Jake wouldn't stop. Finally, she gave in, nodding just to get him to stand up and stop crying. The next morning, I was still in bed when Mrs. Brooks called to remind me. Hello, Emily. You up? Don't forget to go for that ultrasound. I mumbled, yes, ma'am, I got it. Walking into the clinic, I was a nervous wreck. My heart felt like it was about to jump out of my chest. But when the doctor announced, it's a girl, just like her mama, my whole world came crashing down. I sat there, stunned, thinking, this is it. It's over, really over. Mrs. Brooks doesn't like girls. She only wants a grandson. I thought to myself in agony. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Why couldn't I have a boy? Right as I stepped out of the clinic, Mrs. Brooks called me. My heart was pounding. I was too scared to pick up. She kept calling, and when I didn't answer, she called the driver instead. He handed me the phone. Miss Emily, you'd better take this. I hesitated, my voice shaky. "Who's calling?" He said, "It's the boss lady. Answer it." I was a mess, my mind a tangled knot. If I told her the truth, that I'm having a girl, I was terrified she'd never let Ethan marry me. I took a deep breath, picked up the phone with trembling hands, and said, "Hello, I'm here, ma'am." Mrs. Brooks asked coldly, "Why didn't you answer my calls? Did you get the ultrasound? Boy or girl?" Panicking, knowing she wouldn't approve of a girl, I blurted out a lie. "It's a boy, ma'am." She pressed, her tone skeptical. "You sure about that?" I doubled down. "Yes, ma'am, I'm sure." Her voice softened a bit. "All right then," and she hung up. On the way home, I couldn't stop overthinking, my stomach in knots. I kept asking myself, was lying about this really okay? What happens when the baby's born and it's a girl? Then what? But then I thought, if I tell the truth now, I'll lose everything: Ethan, my dream of being the boss lady, all of it. So I decided to stick with the lie. We'd get married, and once everything was settled, I'd deal with it. When the baby's born, I'll just say the doctor made a mistake. That's it. For now, I told myself to just enjoy the moment and not worry too much. After I told her it was a boy, and with Jake pushing her too, Mrs. Brooks finally agreed to let Ethan marry me. But deep down, I still felt this heavy weight of worry. Our wedding was completely planned by Mrs. Brooks. The ceremony was a lavish affair at a 5-star hotel, but the guest list for my side was tiny, only 30 people, while the groom's side had a crowd that filled the place. I asked Ethan, "Why did your mom only invite so few people from my family?" "Babe?" He said he'd talk to her about it. When he asked, Mrs. Brooks replied coldly, "Her folks are all the way in Tennessee. Most of them are struggling farmers. Inviting too many would just drag down our side's image." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. She was basically saying my family was too poor, looking down on my entire side. It hurt so bad, but I didn't dare say a word. I swallowed my pride, all because I was desperate to be a part of her family. At the wedding reception back in Tennessee, my family showed up with all 30 people. Seeing me glowing in my white wedding dress, they were happy but also worried, their eyes a mix of joy and concern. They must have been so nervous for me. I was marrying into a wealthy, powerful family, but from the start, I had no say in anything. Would my life turn out okay? That's what they were most anxious about. After the wedding, Ethan and I went on a week-long honeymoon to Miami. Honestly, that was probably the happiest week of my life, full of joy and laughter. But the days that followed, they were exhausting, stressful, and overwhelming as I started my new life as a Brooks wife. I thought my life would turn a new page, a dazzling, happy chapter as the daughter-in-law of one of Chicago's richest families. But boy, was I wrong. Everything turned out to be the complete opposite. Even though I was officially married into the family, I had no voice in the house. Let's be real. I had no rights at all. My mother-in-law, who already didn't care much for Ethan, openly despised me. She watched my every move like a hawk. By the time we got married, I was almost 8 months pregnant. To keep the baby safe, Mrs. Brooks told me, "You're staying home. No more work. This family's got enough money. You don't need a job." I tried to reason with her, but ma'am, I'm just an accountant at Ethan's company. It's not even hard work. She snapped back, "Don't argue with me. In this house, no one talks back to their elders. Especially not some small-town girl from Tennessee like you." Her harsh, condescending words cut me deep. I tried to explain, "Ma'am, I wasn't arguing. I was just talking to you. I'm your daughter-in-law living in this house. Don't I get to say anything at all?" Mrs. Brooks shut me down. "Be quiet and go upstairs right now." I wasn't allowed to speak or have any say. Everything, from prenatal vitamins to fruit and supplements for the baby, was bought by my mother-in-law. All I had to do was eat, drink, and walk around the house for exercise. I wasn't even allowed to buy my own snacks because she wouldn't let me. My daily meals? She decided those too. That night, as we were getting ready for bed, I whined to Ethan, craving something. "Babe, I'm dying for some curly fries and a caramel milkshake, but your mom won't get them for me." Ethan, scrolling on his phone, said, "Mom's just worried those things aren't safe for you. Eat the fancy stuff she got, like the bird's nest soup or lobster. She's super strict, so just listen to her to keep the peace. Okay?" I begged. "But I'm craving them so bad. Babe, can you get them for me? I'll hide them. Your mom won't find out. I promise." Ethan thought for a moment, then nodded. "All right, fine. I'll get them for you tomorrow, but you better hide them well. If Mom finds out, she'll chew you out." I nodded quickly. "Yes, I got it. I'll be careful." The next day, Ethan was swamped with work, but he ordered the food and had it delivered to the house. I was on edge, constantly checking my phone, so excited to get my hands on it. At 9 a.m. sharp, the delivery guy called to say he was here. I rushed to the gate, grabbed the bag, and my mouth was watering just holding it. I was about to head inside when I froze. My mother-in-law was standing right there in the yard, trimming her rose bushes. If I walked in now, she'd catch me red-handed, and I had nowhere to hide the stuff. Standing at the gate forever wasn't an option either, so I decided to take the milkshake out and sip it right there. The curly fries? I stuffed the bag inside my jacket. I took a big sip through the straw, thinking, "Oh my gosh, this milkshake is heavenly. So creamy and sweet. This is amazing." I was about to take another sip when a neighbor walking by called out loudly, "Emily, what are you drinking? Sneaking around like that?" I jumped, and the milkshake slipped from my hands, spilling all over the ground. The neighbor's loud voice caught Mrs. Brooks' attention. She walked over and asked, "What's going on out here?" I was terrified, my face pale as a ghost, not knowing where to hide. The neighbor chuckled and said to Mrs. Brooks, "I was just coming back from the farmer's market and saw her sipping something out here. Why don't you tell her to come inside to drink? Why is she standing out here like this?" Mrs. Brooks looked down at the spilled milkshake on the ground and the bag in my hand, her voice icy. "What's that you've got there, Emily?" I had no choice but to come clean, my voice trembling. "It's a milkshake and some curly fries, ma'am," she barked. "You, get inside right now." I quietly followed her into the house, trying to explain as we went, "Ma'am, this is the first time I've bought this stuff. I swear, please don't be mad at me." Mrs. Brooks snapped, her voice dripping with anger. "If you don't care about yourself, at least care about the baby in your belly. You're pregnant, and you're eating junk like this? What if it's some cheap, sketchy stuff? Do you even know what that could do?" Once we were inside, she glared at me, her eyes like daggers. "Hand over that bag you're holding." Shaking, I reluctantly gave it to her. She opened it, her eyes widening as she yelled, "You're eating this garbage. It could hurt the baby. I'm calling your mother." I panicked, begging her, "Please, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I know this stuff might not be the best quality, but eating it once or twice won't hurt, right? Tons of people eat it." She shouted, "Shut your mouth. I told you it could harm the baby. Why are you so stubborn?" Mrs. Brooks threw the curly fries straight into the trash, then grabbed her phone and called my mom, ranting angrily for a while. She said such harsh things that the very next day, my mom called me, scolding, "Stop eating that junk and just listen to her. I don't want to get chewed out again." That afternoon, Mrs. Brooks kept chewing me out, going on and on until my head started pounding. Thankfully, Jake stepped in to defend me, and that's the only reason she finally stopped. In this house, Jake's words seemed to carry the most weight. I sat alone in the backyard, lost in thought, my heart heavy. Marrying into a rich family was supposed to be a dream come true, but it's turned into a nightmare. Nothing like I imagined. Jake came over and patted my shoulder. I looked up. "Oh, Jake, it's you. Come sit down." He plopped down beside me and handed me a piece of candy. "Here, Emily, have some candy." I smiled. "Thanks, Jake." He grinned. "You're welcome." Looking at Jake, I suddenly noticed how normal he seemed. Actually, he was pretty handsome, tall, and broad-shouldered. It's just a shame he didn't work out. So he was a bit chubby, but he had a certain charm. I sighed and said, "I wish I could be like you, Jake." He tilted his head, confused. "Be like me how?" I replied, "To be loved by your mom like you are. She loves you the most in this house." Jake grinned ear to ear, showing off his pearly white teeth. I thought to myself, he's so good-looking. Such a waste that he's got these mental struggles. Living with my mother-in-law was exhausting, but having Jake to hang out with made things a little less lonely. I started using Jake to get away with stuff I wanted to do. For example, if I wanted to buy something, I'd ask Jake to get it for me. And of course, when Jake brought it back, Mrs. Brooks never said a word. Over time, Jake became my closest buddy in the house. Meanwhile, Ethan, my husband, was always swamped with work since his company just opened a second location. One day, I felt like going out to eat and do some shopping, so I turned to Jake again. He went to his mom and said, "Mom, I want to go play at the park for a bit." Mrs. Brooks, who was busy reading some papers, replied, "I'm tied up today, sweetie. I can't take you." Jake added, "Emily can go with me, Mom." Mrs. Brooks thought for a moment, then nodded, "Fine, that works. It'll be good for Emily to get some exercise too." So, Jake and I headed out, eating, shopping, and having a blast without worrying about getting scolded. I started feeling happier and realized how much Jake was worth to me. But it's like the universe wanted to teach me a lesson. Y'all, I'd been using Jake to avoid my mother-in-law's watchful eye, having him do things I wanted, buying stuff I needed. But after 3 months of this, something I never saw coming happened. Jake started catching feelings for me. I never even thought that could happen since, with his mental struggles, he wouldn't understand that I'm his sister-in-law. That week, both my mom and Ethan were away on a business trip, leaving just me, Jake, and the housekeeper at home. With Mrs. Brooks gone, I felt so free. I could eat whatever I wanted, and no one was there to stop me. The housekeeper asked for a couple of days off to visit her family, so it was just me and Jake in the house. When we were alone, Jake proudly showed off, "Emily, I've got a ton of money." I got curious. "How much is a ton? Let me see. Take me to your room." I followed Jake upstairs. He opened a drawer, and my eyes nearly popped out when I saw it stuffed with crisp, brand new bills. I gasped, "How do you have so much?" Jake answered, "Mom gave it to me. Every time she gives me some, I put it in here." I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this has got to be thousands of dollars. No joke. Jake's loaded. I asked, "Do you like it, Emily?" "I'll give it all to you." I was shocked. "Give it to me? But if your mom finds out, she'll kill me." Jake reassured me, "Just don't tell Mom, and it'll be fine." The sight of all that money made my greed kick in. I couldn't resist. "All right then. Thank you, Jake." I grabbed the stack of cash, but then Jake suddenly pulled my hand. "Emily, want to take a shower with me?" "I want to shower with Emily." I froze, completely stunned, thinking, wait, Jake wants to shower with me? Does he actually like me? I frowned and asked, "Jake, do you listen to me?" He nodded. "Yeah, I listen to Emily." I said sternly, "You've got to be good and do what I say. Okay?" Jake nodded eagerly. "I got it," I continued. "If you tell anyone about any of this, I won't ever play with you again. I'll be really mad at you. Got it?" Jake nodded like crazy. "I'll listen to you, I promise. Whatever you say, I'll do." After making that deal, I agreed to shower with him so I could keep the money. We went into the bathroom and started undressing. Jake hugged my pregnant belly and said, "Emily's belly is so pretty. I love it." It was the first time someone called my 7-month pregnant belly pretty, and I blushed. But when Jake took off all his clothes, his tall, muscular frame made me feel shy. I scratched my head. "Jake, why'd you take everything off? Put your shorts back on." Jake grabbed himself down there, shaking it. "It feels weird right here." I thought to myself, oh no, does he want to get with me? I'm pregnant, and he's got mental issues. But how's he acting so aware? I said, "Jake, turn around. I'll scrub your back." He shook his head and grabbed my hand, placing it on him. "It feels weird here. Right here." Ethan and I hadn't been intimate in a while since we'd been abstaining during my pregnancy. Seeing Jake's impressive physique, I couldn't help but feel a little tempted. I sighed, thinking, fine, I'll indulge him just a bit. I'll get a big chunk of cash out of this. I said, Jake, sit down. Come here. He sat down, his face lighting up like a kid on Christmas morning. I started, well, let's just say I went along with it. Jake held on to me tightly, and I quickly reminded him, I'm pregnant, Jake, so you gotta be gentle, okay? If you're too rough, I'm outta here. He nodded. I know. Jake was thrilled. His mind might have issues, but that part of him was working just fine. And me? It had been so long since I'd been intimate, so I actually enjoyed it too. It was our first time doing something like this together, but we clicked. Mostly because Jake followed my every instruction. We showered and did our thing for a whole hour before we were done. I felt so refreshed afterward. From then on, Jake treated me like a queen. Whatever I said, he did without question. He gave me all the money he had. I quickly sent half of it back to my folks in Tennessee, and with the rest, I bought designer bags and fancy watches to show off whenever I visited home. I wanted my friends to be jealous, to see how glamorous my life was now that I'd married into wealth. At first, this little side thing felt exciting and fun, but as my belly grew and I got closer to giving birth, I was exhausted and didn't have the energy to keep indulging Jake. But Jake, he was home all day with nothing to do, and his mind was constantly on eating and, well, doing stuff with me. Every single day he'd ask for it, and it started freaking me out. The moment Mrs. Brooks and Ethan left for work, Jake would start, Emily, let's shower. Emily, let's shower. I snapped. Are you obsessed or something? Why do you want it every day? Jake innocently asked, what's obsessed mean, Emily? I was losing it, thinking, I'm gonna go crazy with this guy. My belly's huge. I'm about to give birth, and I'm exhausted. I huffed. I can't do it anymore, Jake. You've got to hold off for a bit. Once I give birth and rest for a month, I'll let you again. Okay? But Jake just shook his head, refusing to wait, insisting on doing it. I had no choice. I ended up using my mouth to satisfy him. Every day, his needs were so intense that I started getting scared. I couldn't keep up anymore, and I was a nervous wreck, constantly worried. Then the day came when I gave birth. The doctor brought out my baby, smiling. It's a beautiful princess. Congrats to the family. Mrs. Brooks' face darkened. She turned away immediately, refusing to even look at her granddaughter. Ethan, on the other hand, beamed with joy, picking up our daughter. Daddy's little princess? You're so adorable. Mrs. Brooks was furious, but since we were in a busy hospital, she kept quiet and didn't say a word. Then, using work as an excuse, she left right away, without even holding her granddaughter once. During the month I was recovering after giving birth, my mom came up to help, so I got a break from Jake's pestering and Mrs. Brooks' harsh words. But the moment my mom went back to Tennessee, those exhausting, stressful days started all over again. The morning my mom left, Mrs. Brooks stormed in that afternoon, her voice icy as she confronted me. How is it a girl? You lied to me, didn't you? I stammered. No, ma'am. I didn't lie. The doctor must have made a mistake. She yelled, Shut your mouth. You tricked me to get into this family, didn't you? I tried to explain. I didn't trick you, I swear. Besides, it's our first child, boy or girl, it doesn't matter, right? Look at her. Isn't she adorable? Mrs. Brooks glanced at my daughter, then sneered. She looks just like you. Ugly as sin. I don't want to see her. I broke down, tears streaming down my face as I begged. Please, ma'am, I'm begging you. She's just a baby. She didn't do anything wrong. Don't say that. It's so unfair to her. Mrs. Brooks replied coldly. You're worried she's being treated unfairly? Then why don't you take her and get out of this house? I promise I won't stop you. Go. My heart ached for my daughter, but I didn't know what to do except grit my teeth and bear it. Ever since I had a girl, Mrs. Brooks never once held her. She wouldn't even look at her. A few days later, my baby was feeling unwell and kept crying at night. I rocked her for hours trying to soothe her, but nothing worked. Mrs. Brooks, hearing the crying, got irritated and stomped up to my room, slamming the door open so hard that both me and the baby jumped. She stormed in, her eyes blazing as she snapped. "Why is she crying so much? Can't you let anyone sleep around here? I'm exhausted from work all day, and I can't even get some peace at night." I whispered, "Ma'am, she's not feeling well, so she's fussy. Please understand." Mrs. Brooks shouted. "She's crying like that? Who can sleep through this? Take her outside to the front yard. If she's crying in this house, I can't sleep," I pleaded. "But it's so cold out there, ma'am. She's already sick. She can't go outside like that." Mrs. Brooks didn't care. "I don't want to hear it. Take her outside right now." I tried to explain, hoping she'd understand, but she wouldn't listen. She grabbed my hair, dragged me and my baby outside, and yelled, "Get out! Take your kid and get out of here." She yanked my hair, pulled us out, and slammed the door shut. I stood there, holding my little girl, sobbing uncontrollably, my heart breaking into pieces. Half an hour later, Ethan came home. He'd been drinking and was pretty tipsy. Seeing me holding our baby at the gate, he shouted, "What time is it? And you're out here with the baby? It's freezing. She'll get sick." I quickly explained. "I saw you were coming home late, so I brought her out here to wait for you." He frowned. "Are you out of your mind, Emily? Did Mom make you come out here?" I nodded, tears rolling down my cheeks. "Yeah, she did. The baby was crying, and Mom said she couldn't sleep, so she made me bring her out here to keep the noise down." Ethan was livid. Already drunk, his anger boiled over. He stormed into the house and banged on his mom's door. "Open the door. We need to talk now." I had a bad feeling that Mrs. Brooks and Ethan were about to have a huge fight, so I hurried upstairs with the baby and shut the door. Downstairs, I could hear them arguing, their voices loud and heated, going back and forth without stopping. Ethan confronted his mom. "Why'd you make my wife take the baby outside? It's freezing out there. How could you do that? She's been crying all evening, and Emily couldn't calm her down, so she had to take her out." Mrs. Brooks replied coldly. "So I didn't soothe my granddaughter and instead I kicked her out like that? You think I'm that heartless? Huh?" She snapped. "Yeah, I'm heartless because you and your wife lied to me. This is all your fault." Ethan, furious, shouted, "You've gone too far, Mom. I'm out of here. I'm not coming back to this house. Hope that makes you happy." Mrs. Brooks shot back. "Do whatever you want. If you're leaving, take your wife and kid with you. Got it?" Ethan and his mom argued for a long time. Overwhelmed with frustration, he grabbed his keys and drove off into the night. I sat in the room, holding my baby, my heart aching, tears streaming down my face. Because of his fallout with his mom, Ethan was gone all the time, sometimes staying out all night. When I asked, he'd just say, "I got into it with Mom, so I'm crashing at the office." He left me and our daughter alone in the house, while my mother-in-law was absolutely unbearable. After everything Mrs. Brooks had put me and my daughter through, I started plotting my revenge. I decided to use Jake to get back at her. That morning, while everyone was at work, the housekeeper was at the market, and my baby was still asleep. I snuck into Jake's room, leaned in close, and whispered, "What's Jake up to?" He turned around, grinning. "Emily." I unbuttoned my shirt, revealing my chest, stirring up his desire. "Emily, I want you." I winked, my voice sweet. "If you like it, go ahead and touch." Jake reached out with both hands, rubbing gently, and said, "So pretty." I pressed his head closer and asked, "You like that?" Jake nodded eagerly. "I love it, Emily." He quickly started taking off his clothes, wrapping his arms around me, but I pushed him away. "Let go." "What are you doing?" Jake said innocently. "I want to play husband and wife with Emily." I smirked. "But I haven't said yes yet. What do you need to do to get my yes?" Jake asked. "What do I do, Emily?" I whispered in his ear. "From now on, Jake, you've got to protect me and help me out. If you can do that, you can play husband and wife with me whenever you want." Jake nodded immediately. "Deal." With our agreement set, I took off my clothes, lay on the bed, and called, "Come join me, Jake." He climbed up eagerly, ready to go at it. But I held him back. Slow down. Not so fast. Jake, kiss me first. He followed my instructions. Over time, I ended up being more intimate with Jake than with my own husband. Jake basically became my husband in this house. Since he listened to me and did things my way, I found it more enjoyable. Even more satisfying than with Ethan. In this house, it was like I had two husbands. Jake didn't just protect me. He was an amazing babysitter for my daughter too. I felt completely at ease leaving her with him, knowing he wouldn't let anyone near her, especially her grandma. One day, I went out to buy some stuff for the baby, leaving Jake at home to watch her. She was starting to crawl, so she was scooting all over the place. Mrs. Brooks was in the living room sipping tea, while Jake and the baby were playing with toys on the floor. My daughter crawled over to her grandma and reached for the table. Mrs. Brooks, who despised her like she was trash, pushed a hot teacup closer to the edge. "Get away. You're gonna get burned." But Jake quickly rushed over, moving the teacup back so the baby couldn't reach it. Mrs. Brooks glared at Jake, annoyed. "Since when did you become a nanny for this little brat?" Jake frowned and shot back. "She's a baby, not a brat. Don't call little Daisy a brat." Mrs. Brooks yelled. "What did you just say?" Jake doubled down. "Stop calling Daisy a brat." Mrs. Brooks was livid. "Oh my gosh, now you're taking their side? Defending that woman and her kid?" Jake's voice grew firm. "It's Emily and Daisy, not some outsiders. You're being way too harsh, Mom." Mrs. Brooks trembled with rage. "You ungrateful boy. I've loved you and taken care of you your whole life, and now you're siding with her? You've been acting so strange lately, Jake." Jake replied. "Strange? No, you're just being unfair," she demanded. "So who are you choosing, me or her?" Jake declared. "I'll protect Emily and Daisy." Mrs. Brooks thought to herself. Maybe Ethan's been so busy and gone all the time that he asked Jake to keep an eye on his wife and kid? Ethan's sneakier than I thought. She softened her tone, trying to sweet-talk Jake. "Are you tired, sweetie? Why don't you go rest? I'll watch Daisy for you." Jake shook his head. "No way. In this house, I'm the only one who needs to look after Daisy." Mrs. Brooks snapped. "What, you think I can't take care of Daisy?" Jake insisted. "I told you, I've got Daisy covered. You don't need to worry about it." Mrs. Brooks was fuming but couldn't do anything about it, so she stormed off to her room. I came back from shopping and saw Jake and the baby playing in the living room. I pulled out a cookie and handed it to Jake. "Here, a cookie for Jake." Seeing me return, Jake hopped around excitedly. "Emily's back." I smiled. "Yep, let me go put this stuff away first. Okay?" I headed upstairs with my bags, only to find Mrs. Brooks waiting at my door. The moment she saw me, she gritted her teeth, hissing, "What did you do to make Jake listen to you like that?" I played it cool, smiling at her. "I'm just a good person, ma'am. That's all," she shouted. "What's that supposed to mean?" I replied. "I just said I'm a good person. I didn't say anything else. Unless you've got something to hide that's making you jumpy?" Mrs. Brooks exploded. "How dare you talk to your mother-in-law like that? You've got some nerve." I gave her a smug smile. "From now on, you better stop being so harsh with me. If you don't, you'll regret it, my dear mother-in-law." Mrs. Brooks was stunned. "What did you just say? You've got the guts to talk to me like that? Are you done living in this house?" I smirked. "I'm not scared of you anymore, so don't talk to me like that. If you keep it up, karma's gonna come for you, my dear mother-in-law." With that, I calmly walked into my room to put my stuff away. Mrs. Brooks stood there, seething, her eyes practically popping out of her head. Now that I had the upper hand, I decided it was time to declare war on my mother-in-law. I had a powerful ally in Jake. I didn't have to fear her anymore. She'd spent so long putting me down, bullying me, and looking down on me and my daughter. It was enough. From then on, Mrs. Brooks and I started arguing all the time. One day, the baby was crying, and she banged on my door. "You're a mom and you can't even calm your own kid? She's crying so loud. How's anyone supposed to sleep?" I shot back. She got her shots today, so she's fussy. You're her grandma. Can't you say one comforting word instead of complaining like that? Mrs. Brooks yelled. What's that supposed to mean? You've been getting way too mouthy lately. Do I need to send you back to your mom to learn some manners? I replied coldly. I think you're the one who needs to learn how to be a grandma. Mrs. Brooks was so mad she screamed. How dare you talk to your mother-in-law like that? I fired back. Why are you getting so worked up? Keep it up and you might give yourself a heart attack. She was furious and lunged at me, trying to hit me. I ran out of the room, knowing Jake was still awake, and shouted as loud as I could so he'd hear. Help me! Help me! Mrs. Brooks chased after me, yelling, Stop right there! Stop right there! Hearing my cries, Jake rushed out, saw his mom attacking me, and ran over, shouting, Mom! Don't hurt Emily! Mrs. Brooks barked. Get out of the way. I'm gonna teach her a lesson. She's gone too far. Jake yelled, Mom! Stop it! Mrs. Brooks ignored him and kept coming after me. Jake couldn't hold her back, and in a fit of anger, he grabbed her hair and yanked her back, making her fall hard on her backside. She hit the ground with a thud, wincing in pain, totally dazed. It took a few minutes for the pain to ease up. She was in so much pain she started crying, looking back in disbelief. Jake, did you just pull my hair? Jake answered, Yeah, I did. I won't let anyone bully Emily. Mrs. Brooks was in shock. I'm your mother, Jake. No matter who I am, that doesn't change. Hearing her own son say that, she was completely floored. For years, she'd poured all her love into Jake, and now he was siding with someone else, even making her fall like this. She gritted her teeth. You ungrateful child. Help me up right now. Jake was about to help her when I deliberately groaned. Oh, my head hurts. Jake immediately forgot about his mom and rushed to me. Emily, are you okay? I faked it. My head's killing me. I'm so dizzy, Jake. Jake, worried, said, Let me help you back to your room. I nodded. Okay. Jake quickly helped me to my room, walking right past Mrs. Brooks. Seeing her furious expression, I felt a rush of satisfaction. Mrs. Brooks shouted, Jake, how could you leave me like this? Come help me up. I'm in so much pain. I feel like my bones are breaking. You and that outsider who does that to their own mom, making me fall like this? Jake gently sat me down in my room, saying softly, Rest here, you've got a bad headache. I'll watch the baby for you. Okay? You rest. I've got Daisy. I replied sweetly. Thank you, Jake. I handed him a piece of candy. Here, have some candy. I sweet-talked Jake to make him forget about his mom, who was in pain, struggling to stand up by leaning against the wall. Mrs. Brooks, after that painful fall, had a sore back and could barely stand straight. She hobbled to her room, collapsed on her bed, and muttered angrily, That little brat. What did she do to win Jake over like this? Seeing her son take my side made her blood boil. Right after Jake went to his room, she followed him, calling out, Sweetie, can I ask you something? Jake asked innocently. What is it, Mom? Mrs. Brooks said sternly. Have you stopped loving me lately? Jake shook his head. No, I love you, Mom. She snapped. Then why are you siding with Emily? You're my son. You should be on my side. Why are you defending an outsider? Jake frowned, annoyed. Emily's not an outsider. You're starting again, Mom. Mrs. Brooks huffed. Oh, come on. She's just your sister-in-law. She's not blood. If she's not an outsider, then what is she? Hearing his mom talk about Emily like that, Jake got even more upset, his voice firm. I don't like you talking about Emily that way. She's family to us, not an outsider, Mom. Mrs. Brooks was shaking with anger. This is ridiculous. What kind of spell has she put on you lately? Remember, it's just me and Ethan who are your real family. Don't trust anyone else besides me and Ethan. Got it? Jake argued back. You're wrong, Mom. Emily's family to me. She's important to me, not an outsider. Mrs. Brooks shouted. You foolish boy. You're not listening to me anymore. Are you? If I call Emily an outsider, don't blame me for what happens. I lay in my room, hearing Mrs. Brooks and Jake argue. Feeling so smug, I thought to myself, that's life for you. You mess with me, you get what's coming. And this is just the beginning. She'll face even worse karma. This is nothing yet. After arguing endlessly with her son, who wasn't fully there mentally, Mrs. Brooks stormed out, slamming the door behind her. She muttered under her breath, her voice full of resentment. That idiot! All my love for him, and now that he's grown, he treats his own mother like this. Ugh, I'm so mad. I leaned against the staircase, looking at her with a smirk. See, that's what they call karma, ma'am. Life's pretty fair, what goes around comes around, right? Mrs. Brooks, provoked by my taunt, her eyes bulging, gritted her teeth. You've gone too far. I can't stand a disrespectful daughter-in-law like you anymore. Get out of my house now. I sneered. You think you can just kick me out whenever you feel like it? What am I, a chicken you bought at the market? Keep it if you like. Toss it if you don't. You're wrong, ma'am. I'm a person, not a chicken. Mrs. Brooks and I kept arguing, and I made sure to speak loudly so Jake would hear. Sure enough, he came running out. I lowered my head, pretending to take her scolding with a pitiful, wronged look on my face. Jake immediately jumped to my defense. He ran over, pushed Mrs. Brooks down, and pointed at her, furious. Mom, I told you already. Why do you keep tormenting Emily over and over again? Mrs. Brooks, stunned, shouted. Are you possessed or something? Why do you always take an outsider's side and turn against me? This is the second time you've pushed me down. You're the biggest fool I've ever seen. Jake declared firmly. From now on, I'll protect Emily. Anyone who bullies her will have to deal with me. Even you, Mom. After that incident, Mrs. Brooks toned down her nitpicking and snide remarks toward me. She only had 2 sons, and both of them were now on my side. It was just her, alone. So how could she keep acting so high and mighty? I felt my life get a little easier. Mrs. Brooks still hated me with a passion, but she couldn't do anything about it because I had a valuable bodyguard in Jake by my side. I thought my life would finally settle into this new, lighter rhythm. But as they say, you reap what you sow, folks. Lately, Ethan, my husband, had been constantly fighting with his mom, so he started coming home late. Some nights, he even slept at the office. I was busy with the baby, and with Jake always around, I didn't pay much attention to Ethan. At first, when Ethan said he was staying at the office, I thought it was a great idea. Since he wasn't home, Jake and I could be together without worrying about getting caught. Jake was always eager, and keeping up with him was exhausting. Slowly, I lost all desire for my own husband. I felt drained, being a wife to 2 men at once. Over time, I noticed Ethan growing more and more distant from me. For a whole month, we didn't even sleep in the same bed. I started getting suspicious and decided to dig deeper. I hired a private investigator to follow him. While waiting for the results at home, Mrs. Brooks dropped some hints. Ethan's been staying at the office a lot lately. Huh? Did something happen between you two? I replied. I didn't say anything, ma'am. He's just busy, so he sleeps there. Plus, when he's home, he always ends up fighting with you, so he doesn't want to come back. Mrs. Brooks snapped. Don't you dare blame me. This is on you. She continued. I see you being a wife, but you don't even care about your husband. Keep this up, and if he runs off with another woman, don't come crying to me. I got anxious. Please, ma'am, stop saying that, she said coldly. I think he's already got someone else. He's been acting strange lately. I sighed, asking, You think so too, just like I do? She nodded. Yeah, my gut's telling me so. You'd better be careful and rethink how you're keeping your husband. I replied, Got it, ma'am. Sure enough, just as Mrs. Brooks warned, the very next day, I got the report from the investigator. Solid proof, complete with photos. My husband had been going to a hotel with a young woman, not just once, but 5 times in a single month. That young woman was an employee at Ethan's company. Seeing the evidence and photos of Ethan being affectionate with his mistress, I didn't cry, but my heart was heavy with sadness and pain. I didn't blame Ethan for cheating. I only blamed myself. I had no right to judge him because I'd betrayed him first, sneaking around with his own brother. What right did I have to point fingers now? That's when I truly understood the saying, "You reap what you sow." Karma spares no one. That day, I stayed quiet, not saying a word. Mrs. Brooks had also done her own digging and found out. She came into my room, asking, "Hey, Ethan's got a mistress. Why aren't you doing anything about it?" I hesitated. "You know about it, ma'am?" She nodded. "Yeah, I just found out. So, you're not gonna say anything?" I sighed. "I don't even know what to do, ma'am." Mrs. Brooks scoffed. "What's wrong with you? At home, you're all tough and fierce. You argue with me like it's nothing, always coming out on top. You guard your husband like a tiger, but you can't do anything about that little mistress of his?" I was exhausted and didn't respond. A week passed, and I still hadn't confronted the other woman. Mrs. Brooks seemed impatient, pacing in and out of my room. I stayed in bed, scrolling on my phone, my mind blank. Mrs. Brooks snapped, "Emily, how can you be so calm about this? You've got to teach that homewrecker a lesson. If you stay quiet like this, she'll think you're a pushover and keep pushing her luck." I replied, "I'll think about it, ma'am." She shouted, "Think about what? You're about to lose your husband." I sighed. "You don't even like me, ma'am. Why do you care so much about my problems?" Mrs. Brooks growled, "True, I don't like you, but I absolutely hate cheaters and affairs. Got it?" I nodded. "I understand. Please go back to your room, ma'am. I need to rest." She said coldly, "You'd better figure this out. You can't just let this slide." Then she went back to her room. I let a few tears fall, my heart aching. I'm the one who betrayed him first. I'm his wife, but I've been sneaking around with his brother. I don't have any right to go confront that woman, y'all. For the next few days, I didn't know what to do. I just lay there, sighing. Jake came in and hugged me. "Emily, I missed you." I snapped. "Missed me at a time like this? Get back to your room." As I spoke, Jake slid his hand under my shirt. I got so mad that I slapped him and dragged him out. "Go to your room. Don't make me angrier." Jake held onto my hand, begging to sleep with me. Since Mrs. Brooks was home, I was afraid she'd hear us if I raised my voice, so I pulled Jake into the bathroom to do it there. Only after he was satisfied did he leave me alone. I felt more and more exhausted in this house. That evening, Ethan came home earlier than usual. After dinner, he went up to our room and lay down, scrolling on his phone. I finally spoke up. "Let's talk for a bit," he asked. "About what?" I lowered my voice. "Why have you been so cold to me and the baby lately?" Ethan sighed, turning to look at me. "You already know, don't you?" I nodded. "Yeah, I know everything. To keep this family from falling apart, you need to end things with that girl." Ethan let out a bitter laugh, looking at me with disdain. "And if I don't end things with her, then what?" I was shocked by his attitude. He's out there with another woman, and now he comes home acting like he's above me and our daughter. What does he even want? I asked, "What's with that attitude?" He replied coldly, "You figure it out." I was so furious that I slapped him. What kind of man cheats on his wife and then comes home with an attitude like this? Ethan glared at me. "That's right, and you're so perfect. Huh? Why don't you take a good look at what you've done?" My heart raced, and I froze. "Does he know about me and his brother?" I stammered. "What are you talking about?" Ethan smirked. "I'm cheating, having an affair. So what does that make you?" My face went pale, and I stuttered. "What do you know?" Ethan said coldly. "That's right. I know all about you and my brother sleeping together. Do you have anything to say for yourself?" His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I was speechless. I panicked. How does he know? Since when? Why didn't he say anything? I stammered. "How did you find out?" Ethan laughed, looking at me. "Did you forget that Jake and I are brothers, living in the same house? Did you really think you could hide it forever?" I looked down, mumbling. "How long have you known?" He replied, Oh, just a month. You and Jake have been sneaking around behind my back for a whole year. And I only just found out. I feel pretty pathetic, honestly. I collapsed onto the bed, my heart breaking. It's really over. I've lost everything. I've lost it all. Ethan knew everything. He even knew Jake and I had been sneaking around for a year. I asked, "Who told you?" He answered, "Jake told me everything. He even said I should divorce you so he can marry you." I was stunned. He said that? But he's not all there, is he? Ethan replied coldly. My brother might not be all there, but he has moments of clarity just like anyone else. I asked, "Then why didn't you say anything when you found out? Why'd you stay quiet? Why didn't you confront me?" Ethan said, "I thought about divorcing you. But then I changed my mind. I decided we're not getting a divorce. For now, let's just keep living like this. You stay here, keep doing what you're doing with my brother, and I won't say a word. We won't touch each other at all." I was in shock. We're just supposed to live like this? He nodded. Exactly. I trembled. You mean sharing a wife? He replied, If that's how you want to see it, fine. I was bewildered. How can you be okay with that? I'm so confused. Ethan said calmly, If you think of it as simple, it'll be simple. He continued, I figure, my brother's been lonely for decades. Now that he has someone to share his life with, seeing him happy and content, it's something I can accept. I was floored. Why didn't you even ask me why I did it? He replied coldly, What's the point of asking when you and my brother have been acting like husband and wife for a year now? I don't see the need. I sighed, my heart aching. You really care about your brother, don't you, Ethan? Ethan just smiled, saying nothing more. I trembled. So you're really okay with this? You're fine with me and your brother being together? I couldn't believe it. How can a perfectly normal man accept something so wrong? Something that goes against all morals? I've never seen a couple like us. The husband knows his wife is cheating with his brother, but doesn't react. Even accepts living in this twisted way. And the wife knows her husband is cheating with another woman but doesn't dare confront her. Feeling nothing at all. For the next few days, I couldn't sleep, lying awake until morning. My heart heavy with unease at Ethan's indifference. In the morning, I brushed my teeth, washed my face, changed clothes, and headed downstairs to go to the market. Out in the yard, Ethan and Jake were exercising together, laughing and chatting happily. Suddenly, I felt a deep sadness wash over me. Those two men were my two men, both sharing my bed, living with me, a relationship like no other. Ethan, while working out, talked to his brother. What do you want to eat, Jake? Tomorrow's the weekend. I'll take you out. Jake asked innocently. Is Emily coming too? Ethan smiled. Of course, Emily's coming with us. Jake cheered. Then let's go get barbecue, then ice cream, and then buy some clothes for Emily. Ethan nodded, asking, You really like Emily that much, huh? Jake nodded eagerly. Yeah, I like Emily a lot. I want to cuddle with her every night, but she won't let me. Ethan replied, Don't worry, I'll figure that out for you. Go shower, and let's have breakfast. I stood there, feeling lost, my heart breaking. So Ethan really values his brother more than his own wife and child. He's willing to let me be with Jake without a second thought. Suddenly, Mrs. Brooks' voice snapped me out of it. What's wrong with you? I quickly replied, Oh, ma'am, I'm fine. She frowned. Fine? Then why are you standing there like a statue? I forced a smile. I was just watching Ethan and Jake work out. I didn't notice you, ma'am. Mrs. Brooks nodded, looking pleased. Seeing those two brothers getting along so well lately makes me happy. Everything's finally settled. I got curious. What do you mean, ma'am? Can you tell me? Mrs. Brooks sighed, then explained. Back when Ethan was still in school, he was a troublemaker, always hanging out with the wrong crowd. One night, he didn't come home, and Jake got worried, so he went looking for him. That's when Jake got into a car accident. That's why he's the way he is now. Sometimes he's clear-headed, sometimes he's off. But back in the day, Jake was so smart and talented. That's why Ethan's always felt guilty about his brother. I was stunned. So that's why Jake is the way he is, because of that accident. No wonder you've always seemed to resent Ethan. Now it makes sense. She nodded. Yeah, if Jake hadn't gone looking for Ethan in the middle of the night, he wouldn't be like this. It's all because Ethan was so reckless back then, I said softly. But that's in the past. Why do you still hold it against Ethan, ma'am? Mrs. Brooks sighed. Jake never fully recovered, did he? Seeing him like this every day, how could I not be upset with Ethan? But Ethan never wanted Jake to end up like this either. It's in the past. Let it go, ma'am. Mrs. Brooks stayed silent, then quietly walked back to her room. Time dragged on heavily, and I couldn't keep living like this anymore, so I decided to file for divorce. When Ethan came back from a night out, he saw the divorce papers on the table and frowned. Emily, what's this? You want a divorce? He picked up the papers, frowned, then tore them up right in front of me. No divorce, I shouted. Why not? Why can't we get a divorce? Everything's been fine, but I'm done living like this. I want to be free, he replied coldly. Aren't you free here? I nodded, tears streaming down my face. Yeah, I am. This place is a prison. I want a divorce. Do you understand? I'm living like a queen here, spending money however I want. What more do I need? I laughed through my tears. You've punished me enough, Ethan. I know I was the one who messed up first, and I'm so sorry. Now, my daughter and I will leave with nothing. Please just let us go, okay? Ethan's face darkened as he glared at me. Don't even think about a divorce. You're staying right here, so behave. I begged. I want a divorce. I already said I'd leave with nothing. Why are you still forcing me to stay? He shouted. How long have you been here, huh? All you've done is stay at home. Have you earned a single penny? Or have you just been spending my money? You gave birth to my child and played maid in this house for years. I didn't let you work, and now you're saying I haven't earned anything? Doesn't your conscience bother you? Ethan and I argued fiercely. He pointed at my face, his voice harsh. Shut your mouth. Don't think I don't know about the $40,000 you took from my brother. Not to mention all the money you sent back to your parents. If you want to leave, fine. Pay back every cent you took from my family, and then I'll let you go. You've taken from us, let's say, roughly $150,000. You want a divorce, right? Then come up with $150,000, and I'll let you walk away. Ethan was right. I had spent a ton of his money, but I never expected him to know the exact amount so clearly. That meant he'd known for a long time but kept quiet. I'd never felt so humiliated in my life. I didn't know what to say. I just sat there, frozen. Ethan mocked me. What's wrong? I hit the nail on the head, and now you've got nothing to say. I mustered all my courage and pleaded, Ethan, I'm begging you. Can you please let this go? I was wrong. Please forgive me. He replied coldly. No way. That'd be too easy for you. Once you pay back every dime you owe me, I'll sign the divorce papers and let you go free. I screamed. Why are you keeping me here, then? He answered. So you can keep being my brother's wife. I was so furious that I slapped him across the face. You're despicable. Ethan wouldn't let me go. He forced me to stay. If I wanted to leave, I had to pay back everything I'd spent. But since marrying him, I'd only been a stay-at-home mom. I hadn't worked at all. Where was I supposed to get the money to pay him back? I had no choice but to stay and do what Ethan said. Over the next few days, Ethan kept staying out all night. So Mrs. Brooks came to my room and asked, Emily, I've got a question. I sat up, looking exhausted. What is it, ma'am? Mrs. Brooks asked. Is Ethan still seeing that girl? I nodded. Yes, ma'am. You already went to the office, warned her, and fired her. How can she still be so stubborn? I sighed. I'm sleepy, ma'am. Can you go back to your room? She snapped. How can you still be so calm about this, Emily? I replied, Ma'am, I'm so tired. Whatever happens, happens. I don't care anymore. Mrs. Brooks growled. You can't just let it slide. You've got to hold onto your husband. Are you really that pathetic? I gave a sad smile. I really am pathetic, ma'am. I'm going to sleep now. I lay down and pulled the covers over my head. Ethan and I kept fighting. We had no love left for each other anymore. Ethan had truly changed. That afternoon, Ethan came home early. Seeing him happily playing with our daughter, I gathered the courage to ask, "Are you still seeing her?" He nodded. "Yeah, I am." I pressed. "Then why won't you agree to a divorce so you can bring her here and introduce her to everyone?" He replied coldly. "Those two things aren't related." I shouted. "They are related. On paper, I'm still your legal wife." He said, "I'm keeping you here to make my brother happy. What happens between you and me doesn't matter." I laughed, my voice trembling. "Because you feel guilty about your brother after that accident 10 years ago, you're willing to do anything to make up for it, right?" He nodded. "You can think of it that way if you want." I asked, "What about my feelings, then?" He replied coldly, "Don't look at me with those pitiful eyes. You're the one who messed up first. I'm just helping you finish what you started." I screamed. "You knew everything from the start, but you didn't stop me. You pushed me deeper into this mess. You're awful, Ethan," he threatened. "Don't you dare talk to me like that. If my mom finds out, it won't end well for you. You'd better watch your mouth. If this gets back to her, the consequences will be huge. You get what I'm saying, right?" Ethan threatened me, forcing me to do what he said. If I didn't, everything would come out, everyone would know, and my parents would be humiliated because of me. I didn't want my parents to suffer, so I gritted my teeth and kept enduring. They say if you're off by an inch, you'll miss by a mile, folks. One moment of foolishness, and I had to pay such a heavy price. I regretted it, but it was too late. Ethan decided to pack his things and move out to live with his mistress, because she told him she was pregnant with his child. Seeing him packing, I begged again, "Ethan, please let me go. I'm begging you. Let me leave this place, please." He replied coldly, "I already told you you're staying here to take care of my brother. $150,000 of debt over 6 years. That means you've got 5 years left. Stay here for 5 more years and then you can go." Jake happened to walk by and saw me kneeling, begging Ethan. He rushed over to help me up. "Emily, what's wrong? Why are you on your knees?" Ethan laughed. "It's nothing. I'm heading out now. I'll come back to visit you this weekend. Okay?" He left, but before walking out of the room, he shot me a threatening glare. "If you let this slip, you'll regret it." I stopped crying and sobbed right in front of Jake. He quickly wiped my tears, comforting me. "Emily, don't cry anymore. Don't cry." I screamed. "I want out of here. I want out." Jake hugged me, worried. "Does Emily not love me anymore?" I replied, "Emily still loves you, but right now I don't want to stay here. I want to be free. I've lived so wrongly for too long. I don't want to keep living like this anymore." Lying awake, unable to sleep, I kept thinking. I even thought about ending it all. This wasn't the first time I'd considered it. But when I thought of my little girl, who was still so young and innocent, I couldn't bring myself to do it. But that day, I completely lost all reason. I put my daughter to sleep, then went downstairs. Seeing Mrs. Brooks sitting in the living room, I asked, "You're still up, ma'am?" She replied, "Yeah, I'm still figuring some things out." I got curious. "Figuring what out, ma'am?" She sighed. "I'm trying to figure out how to get Ethan and that girl to break up." I gave a sad smile. "She's pregnant, ma'am. You should just accept it." Mrs. Brooks glared at me, her voice sharp. "There you go again. Your husband's running off with another woman, and you're just sitting there like it's nothing? Hurry up and go wherever you're going. Then come back." I bowed my head. "Yes, ma'am." I said goodbye to Mrs. Brooks, which made her mutter suspiciously, "You're acting strange. Now you're even bowing to your mother-in-law?" I gave a sad smile, then turned and walked out to the gate. Jake ran after me, calling, "Emily, where are you going?" I replied, "I'm going to buy a few things." He pleaded, "Let me come with you." I shook my head. "No way. Jake, go back to your room and sleep. I'll be back soon. Jake pouted. No, I want to go with you, I said sternly. I'm telling you now, Jake. Aren't you supposed to listen to me? You always listen to Emily. So go to your room and sleep. Right now. I'm telling you, you have to listen. Jake looked sad. Okay, but come back quick, Emily. I nodded. I will. Go to your room. From now on, you need to listen to your mom. Okay. She loves you so much. Jake. He nodded. I know. I'll go to my room now. I opened the door and stepped into the hallway. As I walked, tears streamed down my face. I was sobbing uncontrollably. This is the last time I'll let myself cry. Meanwhile, Mrs. Brooks paced back and forth in the house, unable to shake her worry. Jake came downstairs from his room and asked, Mom, has Emily come back yet? She replied, her voice full of unease. I'm worried sick. She said she was just going to buy a few things, but it's been 2 hours, and she's still not back. She left her phone at home. Where could she be? Jake grew anxious. Where did Emily go, Mom? Mrs. Brooks sighed. I don't know. That's why I'm so worried. She tried calling Ethan, but he didn't pick up. She stood at the gate, waiting for me to come back, her heart racing with fear. She muttered to herself. She was acting so strange today, completely different from usual. What's going on with her? She turned to Jake. Jake, you stay here, okay? I'm going out to look for Emily. I'm worried she might do something drastic. Jake asked innocently. What does do something drastic mean, Mom? She replied, Never mind, just go back inside. I'm going to find Emily. Mrs. Brooks rushed out to look for me. Jake, feeling worried, hurried after her to search for me too. At that moment, I was sitting on a bridge, staring down at the water below, my heart heavy. I slowly closed my eyes, imagining. If I let myself fall into that cold water, all the pain and bitterness would wash away. Everything good would come back to welcome me in another world. But then I started thinking about my daughter, and my heart ached. If I die, her dad will remarry, her grandma's getting old, and Uncle Jake isn't fully there. Who will take care of her? Who will be there for her? Life is full of traps and hardships. I can't do this. I can't leave her alone. I gave birth to her. I have to be responsible for her. I sighed, slowly walking back home. This was the 7th time I'd thought about ending it, but I stopped myself. As I got closer to the house, I saw a crowd gathered on the road. There must have been an accident. I asked an older man standing there, Sir, what happened? Why is everyone gathered here? He replied, There was just an accident, dear. They took the person to the hospital. There was so much blood. I don't know if they'll make it. I sighed, my heart heavy with bitterness. People who want to live can't, and here I am wanting to die. I've really lost my mind. I need to go home to my daughter. When I got home, Mrs. Brooks and Jake were nowhere to be found. A neighbor came over, holding my daughter, and handed her to me. Take your little girl up to your room. Your mother-in-law's at the hospital. Jake went looking for you and got hit by a car. He's in the ER now. I panicked, quickly grabbed my daughter, and took a cab straight to the hospital. When I got there, Mrs. Brooks explained, her voice trembling. Jake got hit by a car while he was out looking for you. The doctors are working on him now. Hearing that, my hands and legs shook, tears streaming down my face. Because of me, Jake had gotten into an accident, and we didn't even know if he'd survive. I broke down, sobbing, my heart in agony. Once again, I've caused someone else pain because of me. A month later, after 3 months of intensive treatment, Jake finally recovered. Ethan came to his senses and agreed to the divorce, letting me take my daughter back to Tennessee. He didn't demand the money back anymore. Mrs. Brooks found out about everything and was furious with both me and Ethan. The day I moved out, she didn't even come to see me off. I took my daughter back to my hometown to live with my parents. Ethan was preparing to marry his new wife, which made sense, since she was pregnant, and her belly was already quite big. I wasn't upset about Ethan getting married, because I was the one who'd done wrong first. I wasn't a good person, so I had no right to judge anyone. I just hoped that in the days to come, life would be a little kinder to me and my daughter. For years, I'd lost sleep, living in torment and regret. Now, my daughter and I were living a peaceful life in the countryside. I'd never felt such peace before. One day, I heard a familiar voice call out, "Emily." I turned around and saw Jake standing there in a sharp, stylish suit. His hair neatly trimmed, with a calm, charming smile. Completely different from the old, simple-minded Jake I once knew. I was stunned. "Jake, it's been so long. How are you and your little girl doing?" I rubbed my eyes, unable to believe what I was seeing. "Oh my gosh, is this really Jake? How can his style, the way he talks, be so different from before?" I asked, "Is that really you, Jake?" He laughed. "Of course it's me. It's only been a little while since we last saw each other. Have you already forgotten me?" I shook my head. "No way, but how are you so different?" He asked. "What, you don't want me to recover? Or would you rather I stay that way forever?" My eyes widened. "Oh my gosh, you've really recovered? No wonder you seem so different." Jake looked at me with a warm smile. "Thanks to going out to look for a certain someone, I got into that accident, and that's what brought me back to normal. So, I guess I owe a certain someone a big thank you." I smiled, looking at Jake, and nodded. "So, you came here today to thank me, huh?" He replied, "That's right, and I've got one more wish, but I'm not sure if I should say it." I encouraged him. "Go ahead and tell me." He hesitated. I was wondering, from now on, would it be okay if I came around to visit you and your daughter sometimes? I hesitated, unsure how to respond. I could tell Jake's feelings for me were genuine, but I felt so torn. I needed more time to think about this. "Could you give me some advice? I'd really appreciate it." Emily's story is a roller coaster journey, full of ups and downs, packed with deep lessons about life, morality, and facing the consequences of our mistakes. From everything Emily went through, we can draw some valuable takeaways to apply to our own lives. Emily started her story with a burning desire to change her life, dreaming of becoming a daughter-in-law in a wealthy family to live a luxurious, carefree life. But her greed and lack of forethought pushed her down a dark path. Lying about her baby's gender, using Jake for her own gain, and secretly being with her husband's brother led her to unimaginable pain. The lesson here is that greed can blind us, leading to terrible decisions that come with a heavy price. Every choice in life needs to be carefully considered, rooted in morality and the right values, because as the saying goes, you reap what you sow, a universal truth that never changes. One of Emily's biggest mistakes was her dishonesty, lying to her mother-in-law about her baby's gender, sneaking around with Jake, and hiding her actions from Ethan. This dishonesty didn't just hurt others. It trapped her in a cycle of guilt and suffering. If Emily had chosen to be honest with her feelings and faced the truth from the start, she might not have had to endure such harsh consequences. The takeaway here is that we need to live with honesty, not just with others but with ourselves too. Self-respect helps us hold onto our moral values and steer clear of temptations that lead to mistakes. Despite all her mistakes, Emily still had a shining light in her heart, her love for her daughter. Several times, she thought about ending her life to escape her pain, but the thought of her little girl pulled her back, reminding her of her responsibility as a mother. This reminds us that no matter how tough life gets, family is our greatest anchor. As parents, we need to put our kids first, protecting and nurturing them with love and sacrifice, instead of letting our personal mistakes affect the next generation. At the end of her story, Emily recognized her wrongs and chose to start over, living a peaceful life with her daughter back in her hometown. She didn't resent Ethan for remarrying, understanding that she was the one who messed up first. This shows how much she'd grown. The lesson here is that it's never too late to make things right. Even if we've made mistakes, we still have a chance to start fresh. As long as we own up to our errors, forgive ourselves and others, and move forward with an open heart. The messy relationship between Emily and Jake, along with Ethan's passive acceptance, highlights the complexity of family dynamics. A lack of communication and mutual respect led to avoidable tragedies. We need to be careful about how we build and maintain relationships, especially in marriage, to avoid irreparable damage. Emily's story is a wake-up call about the importance of integrity, honesty, and responsibility in life. Let's live sincerely, cherish what we have, and think carefully before we act, so we don't end up with regrets like Emily did. Life is a long journey, and only by living true to our values can we find real happiness. Thanks for listening to the story. Everyone, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.